Oh my god, hey, welcome back to my theatre-themed YouTube channel. My name is MickeyJo and I'm obsessed with all things theatre, which is why I have been avidly watching Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream on ITV every weekend at Sunday was what I was gonna... It's too late. It is too late for me to be coherent here. Which is why I have been avidly watching Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream on Sundays on... No, that was right. Which is why I have been spending my Sundays avidly watching Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream on ITV. And this is episode 5? 6? And this is episode 6 of my Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream recap and review podcast. And today I am once again joined by my stagey fiancé behind the watermelon, Aaron James.
Hello.
Oh my god, hey Aaron
I
James.
was just carrying a watermelon.
Were you carrying a watermelon?
Yeah, I was. Would you like to carry it?
Sure, thank you. We've been watching Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream.
We have.
This is your third time guesting on the recaps.
It is.
How does that feel to achieve that milestone?
I mean, I hear you record every single one, so it's not like it's a new occasion.
But nothing beats the joy of me coming to you and saying, Aaron, I have no other day to film this week, and you're the only person here, so at 11 p.m. we have to go and film a recap of Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream.
Yeah.
Listen, we talk about it all week anyway. Like, even if he's not the guest on these.
Well, we watch it together as well.
Obviously we watch it together because we live together. And so we have a debrief afterwards. And we talk about all of these power dynamics. So we may as well bring those conversations to the tiny people in my camera.
Yeah.
Hello to you all, by the way. So we're going to talk about what happened on episode 6 of Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream. Quarterfinals, Aaron James.
I know, actually, I didn't realise until they mentioned it.
Quarterfinals. It's getting serious now.
It is. We're getting to that point now where I want to hear them sing ABBA.
We were just saying this. So in this episode, we didn't hear any of them singing ABBA because there wasn't even an opening number from the contestants. More on that momentarily. But we do know that next week they're back to solo performances, those that remain. And I was just saying, I feel like now is the time to circle back to ABBA. I feel like now it's too late in the competition. It's too important who goes home. They need to be doing ABBA.
Yeah, I think we've seen them do different things, but it's now, will they fit? I mean, in this show they started to mention it. It's now no longer just the conversation of can they perform, can they act, can they do each thing. It's now less that and more just, are they Sky and are they Sophie?
And are they Mamma Mia?
Exactly.
But again, more on that, all of this to come in today's recap. Before we get into it, where can the people find you on social media?
I am on YouTube, Aaron James.
Linked in the title of this video and in the description.
And also at Aaron James UK on all the other platforms. AARON James UK.
Lovely. On TikTok, on Instagram, on the app formerly known as Twitter.
Yes.
And if you subscribe to Aaron's channel on YouTube, you will get to see all of our theatre-going vlogs from all of the theatre trips that we go on together.
So if you used to watch Mickey's Oh My God Hey videos, or just are intrigued when he does the reviews what happens when we go to see the shows, that's what those are. And they're also where we do the best place to sit, where to go for pre-show, how to get the tickets, but we'll take you for a guided tour around the theatre, so you'll get to see the merchandise and you'll get to have a cool view. It's fun, especially if you don't get to go to the theatre so often. All
kinds of helpful additional information so you can live vicariously through it. If you're not going to have a chance to go and see that show or visit that theatre or be in that country, or if you are planning on going to see the show and it would be helpful to you to know what the building and the set is going to look like in advance, then there's that as well.
That's what they're for.
Anyway, let's talk about episode 6 of Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream. Let's get into it. So I mentioned there was no opening number this week.
No.
And that is because we were blessed, gifted, bequeathed a stunning performance of The Winner Takes It All. The word is bequeathed.
I can't say what I think you said.
Bequeathed. I enunciated it very clearly. Queathed.
Can we not?
We were given... I will call up Ellie Talks Theatre. She will be right here. We had a performance of The Winner Takes It All from... Now, I've written Mazz M.F. Murray, and those are not her middle initials.
No.
Were you thinking about what that stood for then?
No, I knew straight away.
Are you still thinking about
No,
the
I was coming up with a better... No, I was coming up with a better word.
Mazz Murray, currently starring as Donna Sheridan, which, let's be
Yes.
honest, the real starring role of Mamma Mia.
This is the whole thing. When this whole show was announced, it was like,
Yeah.
it's Sky and Sophie are memorable, but everybody's going to talk about whether it's the stage or the film. If you're talking about the film, you mention Mamma Mia and somebody will instantly say Meryl Streep. And then when you look at the musical, you're always talking about who is playing Donna, and that is like your memorable role. And then kind of after that, then Tanya and Rosie.
I think it's one of those where people kind of maybe who don't know the show will go into it thinking it's Sophie because it's like the
She's on
poster
the artwork.
suggests exactly it's on the artwork. So I think maybe it comes as a surprise to people. Now, I've not seen Mazz Murray in the show. Criminally,
I have. She's incredible.
I've been lucky enough to witness her performing that song at West End Live, which was very cool. And Trafalgar Square doesn't have a roof, but she figuratively blew the roof off of the place. What I love about her performance of it is the acting through... First of all, the undeniable power of the belt. Like, the volume that Mazz Murray possesses.
And the edge. Like rocky edge.
Oh, it's a great voice. It's theatrical, but it's also rocky and poppy, which is why she was in We Were Rocky for so many years. But what I love is the acting through song and the slow build. Now, because it was only a shortened segment at the start of the episode, they cut it in weird places. So you saw her go from 0 to like 60 up to 100 very quickly. But obviously a standing ovation from the judges.
Oh, phenomenal.
And the kind of standing ovation that I felt as though said, what the heck have we been standing up for so far? Because that was the real deal.
I think it's fun actually because I was trying to wonder if they'd all crossed paths before or not. Or whether this was like their first experience of seeing her. I don't think it's Sam's first time knowing Mazz.
Sam and Mazz must have mingled. They're up and down the road. They're neighbours, practically.
Yeah.
Not in real... I don't know where they live in real life, but Sam playing Elsa at Theatre Royal Drury Lane is near to the Novello, where Mamma Mia is about to celebrate its 25th anniversary.
I did find it slightly odd, though, that this opening number was staged as if it was at the judges' kind of... This is the evening where we're doing all the final performances, and then we kind of backtracked to the start. Whereas with all the other type of opening numbers, we've had it in Mamma Mia film style.
Yes.
So that was kind of a slightly...
I might have loved to see Mazz like recreating that Meryl Streep running up a mountain with the scarf going in the wind, crying at Piers Brosnan. That would have been camp, wouldn't it?
It just
would have been fun.
I think I loved how it was just because it fully just was. This is why Mazz is so amazing on the stage, and she just wow. And I think then the clips of how it's been shared since have done so well because of that. But I think how they've got used to every episode being a certain way, it felt like, oh, we're going to go in a completely different direction this episode.
Do you know what would have been cool? Is if they'd still done the live performance style, but they'd started the episode right at the end of last week's. So it was like the end of that night of performances, and then by the way,
appeared.
Surprise Mazz Murray. Anyway, what actually happened is we travelled back in time.
We did.
We saw them having breakfast. I made a note that there seemed to be an awful lot of fruit at this breakfast. It's not really relevant to anything.
They're just trying to show off that they're being healthy, I feel like. And I feel like so much of this, because it's kind of been sponsored by Jet2 and everything, they're trying to also...
That's Jet2 Holidays, everybody.
There's this big thing about, like... That song, like, is ingrained in my head. I think there's a big focus as well on they're trying to also be like, go on a holiday to these places. So I think everything has to look luxurious.
Yeah, go to Corfu. There's plenty of fruit. Do I know the verse of that song? Because I've heard the chorus now on that ad so many times. Is it the verse the one like stand? Good for me. Okay, but at breakfast, just as it was dawning on us that this was the quarterfinal, it was dawning on the contestants, and you could tell that the vibes had changed. Because early on we said it was a little bit Love Island. They were a little bit just like all making friends, all having a nice time, and now, you know, the end is in sight, which is exciting, which is galvanizing to them, I think. But also, it's starting to mean so much more because no one wants to go home at all, but no one really wants to go home at this later stage to come that close and then not make the live final.
I don't think it's just that. I think it's the fact that some of them have lost, like, the people that they were close to.
It's true.
And especially because they're not in the UK.
Yeah.
and they film this all like in batch.
Yeah.
That for some of them it's probably jarring that like they're not with maybe the person that they were close with.
Some of their
anymore.
previous performance partners have gone home.
Exactly.
Well.
So I think it's kind of and every week recently they've been changing performance partners. So some of them have all lost their.
And the same
they've
thing.
Been close to.
And the same thing happened again this week. We will discuss who was paired together later on. There's a heads up ahead of time. I struggled to make couple nicknames for them this week. So aside from anything else, they were not paired well in terms of name cohesion. But that's really...
That's what matters.
It's up there. It's up there for me. What we did notice was when they got paired up together, Marcellus said... And I read too much into the things that they say in these moments. He said he was nervous to be with Stephanie because she was a powerhouse. Now, they haven't done, like, confessionals. It's not Big Brother style. We haven't seen everything they've said beforehand. But the way that was edited kind of made it feel as though, like, it's a little bit shady towards the last two people he's been paired up with. Whereas, like, they were fine. But to be with Stephanie, now I'm worried about measuring up.
Maybe.
You can tell me I'm overthinking it.
Maybe a tad. When it's such an edited show, you wonder whether they're like, can you say something that makes this sound good?
If I was Leah or Esme watching that, I'd have been like, rude.
But maybe it's because she is very dance heavy.
There is that. There is also that.
Like, I think every routine that Stephanie's done has been kind of triple. Everything has to be like full.
Yeah. And last week was choreography week. The week before we'd had chemistry week, and this week it's Mazz Murray week.
Yeah.
Which we have personally been asking for here. I think week one, you and I said, I hope they do a thing. You said specifically, I hope they do a thing where they fly Mazz Murray over and she works with the Sophies. And that's exactly what happened this week.
Because in this show, one of the biggest relationships that needs to be on point is Donna and Sophie.
Yeah.
Like, Sophie and Sky, yes. And
would you go as far as to say that that's the real love story of the show? I would. I've said it now.
I mean, it is. It's Donna is the main lead.
Yeah.
And then her big thing is her love of her daughter and wanting it to be there. And you need to believe that Donna cares so much about her daughter, and you need to believe that, like, Sophie and everything she's feeling and that link, and you need to know that, you need to really believe that that is kind of the core relationship, and you know that they've had, like, they're extremely close because it's a single parent family, so it needs to feel like that. And to be honest, Sky is not in the show that often.
It's not in the show as much.
So, like, I would have felt weird if you'd have got to this final when the public are deciding who wins.
I was gonna start singing, slipping through my fingers and braiding your hair, but I wasn't sure how you'd react. Anyway, I'm thrilled that they flew Mazz Murray out to Corfu or wherever it is that they were. Do I want her to have had a slightly more exciting reveal in the episode? Perhaps. Because Zoe Ball was just like, someone's here, by the way, and it's current Donna in the West End, at which point I'd have been already screaming pre the name. Because we know who that is. Let's not play coy about this. And it's Mazz Murray, by the way, guys. I wanted, like, her to be landing in one of those little planes that lands on the water, and then she can walk up the jetty and, like, take off the sunglasses.
She did a really cool Instagram
machine.
reel that was like that, though.
I didn't see that.
It was her walking on, like, the pier wooden flooring of the Revolve in the Novello, and then it slowly transitioned into it actually being the pier in Corfu.
Now, only the potential Sophies got to meet Mazz on day one, basically.
I mean, Donna and Sky don't really spend that much time together. It's not the relationship.
Do they say anything
really
to each other in the show?
Yes.
No? Yes. Fine.
They
don't
They're in
have, like, a
scenes
big...
together, but it's
They
not
don't
like
sing together.
This is them. This is the relationship you care about.
Yeah.
Like, it's more a case of does this Donna and because it's going to be Mazz. This is the thing.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, who's going to be Donna against him? It's like it's going to be Mazz.
It's going to be Mazz. So that's what the Sophies got for their challenge this week. And the boys did not have a challenge.
But they tried to make out like it was a challenge.
The boys got to sit this one out, and the boys had a video message from Dominic Cooper. Now, flashback, the girls had a message from Amanda Seyfried weeks back. So I guess they were just delaying this Dominic Cooper one.
To cover for the time that they knew that the girls were going to have a challenge.
Yeah.
But it's too far along for it to be like Girls Week and Boys Week. It's like...
Yeah.
how do we make it another girls' week, but fake, like make it seem like the Skies have had something as well.
Now, you know I have unnecessary thoughts about this Dominic Cooper video message. Was he wearing blue light glasses? Has he bought himself some blue light glasses, or were those just regular glasses? Frames looked weird. I will also say he called Mamma Mia the most glorious stage show to be a part of, having never appeared in the stage production, and also, like, screw the History Boys that he was actually in on stage and other plays that he's done. Well, I don't know if that was scripted for him, but I'm offended on behalf of Alan Bennett and Nicholas Heitner. Anyway, so the girls got a full challenge with one of the most formidable leading ladies of the West End, and the boys got a cameo message, basically. Let's talk about how they did in the challenge on a purely frivolous level, because this isn't really the most important thing, but Esme looks like she could be Mazz Murray's daughter. When you had the two of them together, I was like, oh, they could be related. Like, they're fighting at Christmas for sure.
Yeah, when you saw them together, they kind of had the most natural, like the most similar. Oh, it's a believable like family look.
Yeah, they had the RuPaul's Drag Race family resemblance. Ellie's going to be so sad that she missed this one, so she couldn't make that joke. I wrote that Esme did a great job.
Esme did a great job.
And the acting, that's kind of all I have.
Believable. I feel like Esme's very natural acting. It doesn't feel like right, here's the persona. It's just kind of, yes, we're in it. It just feels very alive and like natural. It just feels very natural.
She's living in that moment. She's feeling the authenticity of her choices. Stephanie, a great performer, felt a little bit less natural in the acting.
It felt kind of like, here's the character. Like, it's like kind of like a switch on, Sophie's here. I feel like she's kind of performing to impress rather than just getting in the moment.
Sure. Amber Riley agreed that it felt a little bit forced. We're seeing a lot of good honesty coming from Amber Riley. I appreciate this about her. She's always she seems to be the one on the panel to say it like it is. Yeah. More on that later. I thought Stephanie played it a little bit younger, like a little more just emotionally juvenile, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's the kind of Sophie where she'd have that argument scene with her mum and it would make me think, I don't think you should be getting married.
Yeah.
But that's an interpretation of Mamma Mia. That's one way you can read into the material.
Although it would be a bit of a weird end.
Well, they don't get married. They go off hiking together. They're not getting a mortgage. Like, they can still make their own choices.
Yeah, but I don't think you should be leaving the show being like, will they ever stay together?
I don't care about them leaving the show. They've walked off into the moon, and then Waterloo happens, so you forget that there was a plot to begin with. Entering this acting challenge, Desmonda has a point to prove. Mm-hmm. Because the last acting challenge, which was a while ago now, it was not her strongest suit.
When she's singing, that's kind of when there's no fault that can be said, but when it's the acting, it's not been the easiest. Right?
And they've been talking about this in the intervening weeks, that she is probably the strongest vocalist, the most formidable, but they needed to see more strength in the acting. This was her opportunity to prove that. We didn't see the whole thing. Did she prove the point she needed to? Because I don't know that she did necessarily.
I don't think she proved that she could be a Sophie. It just kind of, I didn't fully believe the connection between her and Mazz, and it feeling like kind of, it didn't feel like a natural conversation. It felt slightly stilted.
It was a little, Stephanie having gone much more dramatic with the choices and a little bit more like throwing a tantrum. Desmonda was a little light. There wasn't much
there weren't many choices. I didn't feel like there were acting choices. It kind of just felt like more like running a scene.
And they were all using their natural accents, I think because they'd been directed to do so, basically, so as to not have this extra thing to worry about. But that was a little bit jarring.
I feel like if they'd have said for them all to do like a specific accent or a clean one, it might have been more helpful for Desmonda. I felt like always bringing up though with Desmonda that because they have such a small amount of time to learn it and it's her second language.
Also,
there are all these barriers that they've not really brought this up once, which is nice in a way that it's not kind of making this
her storyline.
Yeah, like they've not made a big storyline. Yeah. But that when they're having such a small amount of time
is a factor,
language.
For sure. No, for sure, that's worth thinking about as well. Finally, we had Stevie.
Yes.
Who confided in Mazz Murray that this was a difficult scene for her to be performing. because of her own late mum.
Yeah.
And they had what I thought seemed like a really rewarding conversation. And Stevie might have given then my favourite version of that scene on the back of that kind of like bit of wisdom from Mazz there. What I liked about Stevie in the scene is that Esme was great, but everyone else turned away from Mazz, and Stevie stayed in it and locked with her. And Mazz Murray has such a force and a ferocity to her. And so they were really just facing off. She was holding her own against that power that Mazz was bringing, which I thought was very impressive.
I think you could kind of tell that she'd made her acting choices and she'd thought about the full journey and where Sophie is and what, and brought herself into it, which is very cool. And it's also interesting to hear a Scottish accent.
It's interesting to hear a Scottish accent, yes. Now, when asked about her thoughts on how the girls performed, Mazz was keeping her thoughts very close to her chest.
I kind of feel like you have to, if you're about to, because regardless, she's going to end up working with one of them, and this is going to be aired on TV before they start working together.
That's a very good point. That is a very good point.
This is the whole saying, oh, I wish Mazz had said more about stuff, but actually, whoever gets it, they've got a long period of time of working together, and if anything in there the person doesn't enjoy having been said, that will linger for a very long amount of time.
I hadn't even thought about it.
I believe Mazz said all that she really could to ensure that there was a happy period of time, because she doesn't know, because at the end of the day it's not like traditional casting process, and it's not like the judges are going to be choosing all the way. The final is chosen by the public.
It's like when you have to be nice about someone that your friend is dating in case they stick around for a while.
Yeah, she doesn't know.
And then we move on to the actual evening of live performances.
Yeah.
Mazz, that clip we saw at the beginning of her singing Winner Takes It All, it was darker than when they were performing, so she had to sit there, judge them all, send someone home presumably, and then go belt her face off. Like, that was her evening. So the whole time she's watching them, she's like, and then I have to go and sing The Winner Takes It All afterwards. As you do. What a weird work trip.
It'd be interesting if she's in it again, or if she'll be back for the final in London.
I hope she's at the final in London. Now, I quoted something that she said here. She said, "You're not choosing someone who's good or not, you're choosing someone who's Mamma Mia." And I wrote, thank God for Mazz, because that's something that this judging panel, I think, has needed to be told for some time now. They've been going off of, like, do you feel like a Sophie and like a Sky? And they're kind of they've been forming an opinion of what that character is. But Mazz, having been in this show for a long time, having played multiple roles in this show over the years, she was Tanya before she was Donna, she really knows tonally what is right for this show. And the acting, there is a style that's right for this show. Esme and Stevie got it in the acting. I'm not sure the other two did really get the tone of the thing, and vocally as well. And that's not the last that she will say on that subject as we go through the performances. But first up, we had Desmonda and Owen, who I have affectionately referred to the best of my abilities as Desmoda. Like Baby Yoda. Desmoda. What would you have done? Put yourself in my shoes, in my Grecian sandals.
Desmoin.
You could go for Desmoin. I did Desmeal with Desmonda and Zakil last time, so it felt like the same.
Or a wonder. Or a wonder.
I wonder. That sounds like Rwanda. Anyway, Team Desmoda. It was another great song for Desmonda, as many of them are. But she hasn't had a lot of variety in the songs that she's been given. She hasn't had any like big up-tempo types of thing. They like to give her a ballad moment, something that she's going to sound great singing, which she does. I did think it was the best acting through song that we had seen from her, but is she pushing at the wrong time with her acting? Did it need to be in the acting challenge rather than in the vocal performance, or should it have been in both?
I think there's probably elements of this where it comes to language barriers and where she's more comfortable. I think it comes down to kind of that probably it's easier to emote while singing for her, but maybe that's why they've juxtaposed it so they can show it there.
Yeah.
And it seems like they've come to love her, so it wouldn't shock me if they've been trying to do stuff that they know would showcase her.
I thought against her immaculate pitch, his tonality felt a little bit more wobbly.
It wasn't the best pairing, I think, for him to be with, because she has such a rich, round voice that unless you've got like a similar tone, you will feel.
We've never heard her with Craig, have we?
No.
Oh, interesting, because that's someone who I think could maybe square up to her.
Yeah.
Vocally. I wrote about, I can't remember exactly what she said, but I wrote about Amber Riley bringing an American honesty. Now, I think with her being the American on the judging panel, we know this from going to the States, there's more of a candidness there. They will just say it, and I think the British judges have been trying to soften the harsher blows.
Yeah.
Amber's just saying it like it is, and that's beneficial, I think, ultimately. Like, it's nice to have a criticism cushioned, but at the same time, you need them to tell you what's up.
She does it from a place of love, where she's like, this is how you can improve. And she's kind of saying, right, I've been in your shoes, I've been in a West End show, I know what it takes. This is where I think it's going to work, this is where I don't think it's going to work currently, this is what you need to do.
Yeah. I wrote that the judges wanted more fire, feist and grit. I don't know which of the two of them that was about, maybe both. Maybe both. Next up, we had Craig and Stevie, Team Cravey, like the breakfast cereal.
Okay.
Tell me, you like...
Steak.
You're going to go for steak. You actually want steak.
Steak, it's fun.
Sound off in the comments. Steak, Cravey. Who are we siding with here?
You sound like you're saying gravy. It's
Cravey. Cravey.
Steak.
You sound like you're saying steak.
Steak, which is close to stage, so it's quite stagey.
Oh, it's not stagey.
Oh my gosh.
It's staggy.
Yes.
Okay, no, that is better.
Staggy.
Staggy. Have a staggy day. Oh, okay.
Perfect.
No, you've won me over there. Stevie was worried about the song sounding a little bit too karaoke-ish. And not sounding very musical theatre in her words, but they were doing a Tina Turner song. And not only Tina the Tina Turner musical, but Tina Turner songs are technically featured in 3 different musicals. There is a Tina Turner song in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and there is a brief nod to Tina Turner along with 50 million other artists in Moulin Rouge. So, you know, there is a crossover there, but it was nice that we had the 2 Scottish performers together.
It was fun to see that kind of pairing, and it felt like the most chilled and relaxed that I think we've seen Craig.
Oh, Craig was having fun.
Yeah.
Craig was having fun, which I think is specifically what they'd asked for from him last week. They really wanted to see him loosen up and have fun. And he, I think, was delivering that and bringing that new side of himself at the perfect time in this competition.
Well, it was. But I think what didn't help with that was that the judging panel then went, oh, is this too pally and not relationshipy?
They did say that.
So it was like, yay, we're seeing a fun side of him, but I think on the wrong week with the wrong person for them, because it felt like, oh, he's funny doing it, and they were like, oh no, we don't want this right now.
It's tricky because I think there's not a lot of depth in the lyric to Simply the Best, or any. I don't think there's any depth in this lyric other than like, you know what, you're really great.
I think it's one of those songs as well where in the musical of her life, this and seeing how it can be done if it's through acting, through song, but with the whole like
only because of the context of what we've just seen for the last 2 hours. The song by itself, that lyric means nothing.
Yeah, I think in general how it was staged as a
because
duet,
you
it's
have
not
this
really a
you
duet.
have this recurring line that says the same thing with so much empty time in between. You're simply the best. That's the same emotion. Better than all the rest. That's the same thing. Better than ever. Like you keep slowly reiterating the same idea. So for an actor, what new idea can you bring to each new line? I don't think that's the challenge. I think on that one there. But having said that, Craig, we've said in previous weeks, or I've said that Craig seemed a bit more restricted in who he might be able to be paired against because he read a little bit older, and we said maybe Esme would be the only one he might work with. He worked with Stevie.
He did work with Stevie.
These two, like, the judges thought it was pally, but I thought they would be compatible as a Sophie Sky pairing. And ultimately that's going to become important. If the public can't see them together in this final, they may not get the votes. It's definitely a factor. I wrote Craig vocally flames, just fire emoji all over the place. And Sam Barks said that they did Scotland proud. Many Scots watching this programme, do you think? Again, I'm going to ask you in the comment section, Scottish people watching this programme, weigh in. We had an advert break, and I made a note to say that The Masked Singer is coming back, which I'm excited about.
Which did you get the connection?
Because Amber Riley was on The Masked Singer.
Yeah.
Won The Masked Singer.
She did US and UK.
Should we do a recap series here for The Masked Singer? I'm not going to be able to recognise non-musical theatre voices, but we can watch it.
I enjoy that show.
And if there's a musical theatre person, you bet we're
fun.
going to know about it. Next up, this is a fun couple name. We had Stephanie with Marcellus, Team Starfellas.
Okay.
You have to say it really carefully at the end. It's Ellis. Don't say it too fast. Doesn't sound good.
Staffless.
No, that's fine. But, like, it's just the vowel. You have to be very clear on that vowel. We're not going to dwell on it. Anyway, they were discussing this in the group because Mazz was meeting all of these guys for the first time. She hadn't worked with them in the acting challenge. And so they were getting her up to speed. And they were telling Mazz that Marcellus had struggled vocally before.
Yeah.
And Amber Riley, who really wanted to put a punctuation mark on that, said, yeah. Which I thought that said a lot. Marcellus then said in a little confessional filmed moment that this could be his last performance. Did you get the sense that a part of him might have given up already?
I think so. I think when you get similar notes or similar things from them, I think you just get a vibe that... I mean, and I know that these many weeks it's going to be the judges deciding, so you already kind of know from previous ones that you're
He'd been in the
there.
bottom 2 last week, I believe. And, that's disheartening. And he'd had some challenging feedback as well. Stephanie said that she was worried about him pitching the exact notes, which there was a little bit of an oof from me. But then we get into the actual performance. Now, I can't remember what it was that they were singing. Can you remember what they were singing? I bet you anything it's a pop song, and that's why I can't remember.
It was a pop song.
Oh, it was a Harry Styles song. There you go. But I did think the camera close-ups at the beginning were giving Jamie Lloyd's Sunset Boulevard, as currently seen at the Savoy Theatre in the West End. And finally, a song that's in a good key for Stephanie.
Yeah.
Because she has been struggling to adapt to other people's preferable keys in her duets for weeks now, it seems.
Yeah.
This was in a good place for her. She did a lovely riff at one point that we got to cut away to Zoe Ball loving.
Having a moment.
You and me both, Zoe. You and me both. Someone listen, I would watch a YouTube series of Zoe Ball reacting to musical theatre riffs.
I want more Jessie Ware talking about theatre and why she loves it so much.
Also that.
I feel like we've had the moments of her showing her knowledge, but actually would like more of Jessie Ware showing how deeply she loves MT.
Yeah. He had a dodgy note on Falling, I wrote at one point, and Alan Carr said that performance was pure musical theatre about a Harry Styles song.
They also showed Alan making funny faces, I think, at points where he was like, oh, he didn't hit that, or something like that.
Well, Amber and Sam both said they were still not happy with Marcellus's vocals, but loved Stephanie. And then in a conversation about it, Mazz said that Stephanie wasn't the right girl for him. Interesting not to say it the other way around. Does that identify him as being more restricted as a performer? Or was Mazz not vibing with Stephanie? Because she also said in the episode that Stephanie was very musical theatre, but not necessarily Mamma Mia.
But she also said that he was a Mamma Mia boy. And she was like, I know the Mamma Mia boys and he is what they are. Yep. Which he does remind me, but he reminds me more of a Pepper.
He could absolutely be a Pepper.
Because he has the kind of the swag and the vibes of it and the playfulness and the cheekiness.
Yeah.
That I think he'd be an absolutely fab Pepper, but I don't... But then, with the pairing so far, he hasn't maybe naturally fitted with somebody that feels like, that's a Sophie and Sky.
Yeah. Yeah. Next up, Team Tobias and Esme. Are you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
Tosme.
No.
I struggled with this one. I'll be honest with you all. What else? If not Tosme, then what?
Esmias.
Esmias. Tobesme. Tobesme.
It's weird because that's the whole of her name.
Tresemme.
Let's stop there.
Head and Shoulders. Now, they had a little bit of drama.
Yes.
Because Esme had experienced some dizziness in rehearsal earlier that day. She said it was sunstroke on Instagram. And it really, really did her in, which is very sad. She was worried about fainting, so naturally they started the number with her stood on a plinth in heels.
It is kind of like we have this planned. We will do what is planned.
I'm like, I know whoever directed and staged, whoever was responsible for staging these numbers, and I believe there's like a team of people.
Yeah.
involved, clearly was just like really committed to their vision for this. Where someone went up to them, I bet you earlier in that day, I was like, she's worried about fainting, so do we need to like do away with the box? And they were like, no, it's my art, it's my vision. So she's still up there, stood in a box, in a heel, trying not to faint and fall off of the box. But they were singing Who Wants to Live Forever from We Will Rock You.
Yep.
Whilst
Mazz is right there.
Whilst Mazz is there. Mazz, who was in We Will Rock You for 10 years.
Yes.
And it's a great song. It's an epic song. You can do a lot of like passionate...
It is, but it felt quite static.
Here's my issue with it, because I do think that one component of that was their performance of the song, but at the same time, the way it was staged was deeply unclear to me as to what the storytelling was. The closest thing that I could get was that it seemed like they were maybe sibling gods who were about to give up their powers in order to live among the mortals. Like, they felt like they were both, like, Grecian, like, grandstanding and being like, shall we forsake our immortality? They didn't feel like in the context of We Will Rock You, they are young lovers on the brink of an apocalypse.
I just think they should have gone with one of the earlier songs where they're playful, like Hammer to Fall.
If you mean if they were going to do a Queen number, it's a great
song. If you're going to do a We Will Rock You song, I feel like Hammer to Fall would have been fun because that's them being funny together on one of those ones earlier on.
Yeah, I still think they could have done that song. I didn't need them standing and walking down and having such a great posture. I wanted them crawling on the floor with like different lighting, give them grungier outfits, lean into the We Will Rock You of it all, and just like staring each other, their faces so close to each other and embracing. And the way they were staged not to really connect to each other, and I think that's a big part of why they didn't connect.
Yeah.
It seems obvious now that you say it.
But it's also interesting because it seems like from looking online, they are really close, those two. So it's kind of interesting about that.
I think they're both strong actors. I think the stage, I'm going to say it, the staging was not my favourite on that one. Her voice felt a little less powerful than his, but again, she had kind of the wavering strength because of the heat stroke, and she wasn't really sure how reliable her vocals were going to be. You were interested, there were some rocky moments.
There were some moments where her voice felt like it went somewhere natural and interesting, rocky or something voice that came out at certain moments on certain vowels.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, there's a voice that we've not been given a chance to see because it wouldn't be a Sophie sound.
Or she's making that choice herself, because she had some songs earlier on where that would have been more appropriate. Like when she was doing I'm Just a Girl, we heard a bit of that.
But I hear you cry, what about the fashion? And I'm here to give it to you. Welcome back to my weekly segment where we break down the fashion of this week's episode. And I've got to say, the girls this week, I'm going to mention every single one because they all look gorgeous. They all looked stunning. The boys? Anyway, let's talk about the girls' outfits. Desmonda, starting us off with, like, the blue. Every single week, she comes out there, and I think that her colour is orange. I think her colour is, like, turquoise. And then she shows me a different colour, and I'm like, no, that is her colour. That is it. She looked beautiful in this jumpsuit. Oh, my God. I think she just looks gorgeous, whatever she puts on. Just whatever she puts on, she looks incredible in. And I'm just here for it. I don't think she has had a single bad look in this competition. And that is a feat. That is a feat. Stephanie, these colours on her, just... The dress was just beautiful. She wears it so well. And, oh my God, just like her hair as well. Her hair, gorgeous. Gorgeous behaviour out here from Stephanie this week, who, you know, I wasn't a big fan of her last two outfits, so you gotta give her credit here. Esme looked like a goddess. Esme was out here just... I would give up all my earthly possessions if Esme walked in front of me wearing this. Like, she looked gorgeous. She looked amazing. She looked so good. She was giving Zeus couture, and I'm here for it. And then Stevie in like the red dress, I think it was the simplest of the night, But my God, just like the pop of red was like so vibrant, and it made her like light up. Beautiful. Every single girl look this week, just the best. The boys, very simple, very, very, very simple. I think Craig's was okay because I liked the pop of red there. At least there was a pattern. I think the purple lilac color looked good on Marcellus, but they were both quite simple. Owen's was extremely simple, but Tobias was such a missed opportunity because you have Esme there. You have Esme there in the whites with like the gold belt and like the long flowy sleeves, and she looks absolutely gorgeous. And then Tobias is next to her just in all white, in like with like an untucked shirt. We could have had a gold belt. We could have had some gold accessories here. You accessorize your boys. Come on, it's not hard. So I think when it comes to favourites and least favourites this week, my favourite, Esme. Esme, gorgeous. Stephanie, just slightly behind. But the girls slayed it this week. My least favourite's Tobias. Maybe next week they'll give him a blazer. But that's my segment. I've been Ellie, Talks Theatre. Yeah, see you next week.
But that brought us to an end of all the performances, and then we got some very interesting commentary from the judges. Sam Barks said she likes Craig, she never loves Craig. And I think I'm close to loving Craig at this point. I've been critical in weeks previous. I said he was very capable and he's very talented, but I wasn't getting Sky, and I'm now starting to see that more. With him opposite Stevie this week for the first time, Stevie was the key that unlocked the door through which I glimpsed Craig being Sky. That metaphor ended up being more heavy-handed than I planned for it to be, but you get the idea.
I'm still not there yet.
You're not all the way there yet.
No.
I'm getting closer, I think.
There's other roles I'm intrigued to see him in.
Yeah.
But, like, he's one where I feel like you're seeing these vocals and everything right now, and I'm like, there's not that much room for Sky vocally in it.
You think he'd be wasted as a Sky?
Pretty much. I feel like he's showcasing something that people are not going to see in Mamma Mia.
That's true. Meanwhile, they all loved Stevie. Mazz said she was a real person, which helps.
Yeah.
Marcellus, acting and vocal not as high as his confidence. And I'm wondering what else they've experienced and what else they've seen beyond the edited version of what we've seen, because that starts to sound a lot like arrogance.
Yeah.
And we haven't really seen that from Marcellus. So I'm wondering, because they said his talk hasn't turned into a walk.
I wonder if there's elements of him because he's got a lot of experience.
There is also
whether it's because he is used to the setup of stuff and how it is, and having been in that world
it's
already.
Difficult because if you've got those credits, then say so. But at the same time, if you're going to say I did this show and I did this show and I did this show, that's going to create a level of expectation that you need to be able to perform to. This is the point where Mazz said that Stephanie was very musical theatre and not pop, which is a pretty damning thing to say. Stephanie otherwise has been getting pretty positive praise, but never seems to come to the front of the pack.
And I get that comparison, because originally it's like, oh, that's weird because it's a musical. Mm-hmm. But then
if there's one person that knows, it's Mazz Murray.
And knowing the cast that you're going to join.
Yeah.
And I think this is a show where if you don't fit that kind of pop sound that everybody's forming and you're going very musical theatre, it will jar against everyone else, because at the end of the day you're going into a big cast where everything needs to feel together, and it's in a lot of ways an ensemble.
Yeah.
Even with the main characters.
Mazz said that Owen said Mamma Mia to her. He's been liked by the judges. Yeah. He's been consistently good.
He's been consistent.
I think we could see him in the final at this point.
I think we could now.
But we'll discuss that in more depth later on. Desmonda has obviously been vocally fantastic, said the judges, but they hadn't seen Sophie in her acting so far. Her acting, the quality of her acting is coming along. I think the acting is getting stronger, but she's still not brought a Sophie quality to it. Yeah. And I think now, too late in the competition, for that still to be an issue when all of the other girls are bringing Sophie.
Yeah.
They said Tobias lacked chemistry with Esme, and that Esme was fantastic in the workshop acting-wise and was disappointing in the performance. And I do still wonder if this is the power of bad direction.
I wonder if it's just how much time did she actually have rehearsing compared to the others.
Because of the illness?
if you're the amount of time that they showed us of her not being on the stage and
True.
being... I mean, medical attention time
Yeah.
will not be quick, and anybody that's doing that will not let you leave for a while until they can
You are
clear you.
all about bringing my attention to the extenuating circumstances
Yeah.
today. Yeah, well done.
This is editing.
Speaking of the editing, I was sad because we were about to enter a section where two people were going to have to leave, and
Yeah.
that made me sad. And then they played Cher's version of the ABBA song One of Us, and that made me happy. Interestingly, no bottom two.
No, well, I think we're
Bottom
getting
two.
too close now that it would be hot. It would be too high a percentage of the people standing there going into the bottom two.
There's that, and now this means as we go into next week, there's no one who feels like they're
Yeah.
coming from behind. It kind of puts them into the semi-final territory, the last week
They'll all be
on the
competing
island.
with the same energy.
All competing with the same energy, exactly right. But Amber Riley did seem like she was on the verge of tears, sharing these results. And we found out that Desmonda, sadly, and Marcellus
Yeah, we're
would
leaving.
both be leaving. I don't know if this came as a huge surprise,
Yeah.
because Marcellus had pretty damning comments last week. Ellie and I were both saying it felt as though the writing was on the wall and he was kind of already on borrowed time. We got the sense that he might have even felt that himself this episode. And with Desmonda, I think she had this acting characterization issue. Now was the time to fix that, and she couldn't necessarily all the way do that in the time that she had there. So
It's interesting with Desmonda, though, is that what I think everybody's aware of is she's been in Aladdin right now. She is currently...
we've been mentioning this
Jasmine.
every week.
She is currently a leading lady in a musical that's touring the country.
Touring the
in
UK.
a Disney musical.
Making Disney money.
So it's kind of nice actually when watching it. It's like it's exciting to know, will she be doing the rest of the tour now, because they hadn't announced if she was going on further, and whether she's always been doing the full tour, we'll find out. But it's nice actually watching it, knowing that somebody has definitely found their place in the industry.
I mean,
There's a lot we don't know
she had a
about.
lot of momentum in her career before doing this, and I
Yeah.
guess right after filming she then did Miss Saigon
Yeah.
in Sheffield, like almost immediately
Yeah, it was
afterwards.
immediately after.
Very soon afterwards, and then going into the Aladdin
Yeah.
tour. So, she's going to be fine.
Yeah.
She is going to be absolutely fine. She's already had a bunch of high-profile gigs. She's won a lucrative student performance competition.
And Kim as an acting role will have given her the masterclass that they're talking about.
So I think Desmonda now is probably already such a stronger performer than the Desmonda
Yeah.
that you saw on TV. So go and see her in Aladdin,
Yeah.
people, as and when it's confirmed that she's doing the rest
Yeah,
of the
if
tour.
she is.
Yeah, I think she probably is. The only reason she wouldn't be is if she's doing something even more exciting.
Yeah.
But it is time for us to talk about who is going to make it to the final, because next week we're going into semi-final performances.
Yeah.
They're back to performing solo. So it's just everyone on their own merits.
Yeah.
Nobody has like a challenging partnership to pull them down or lift them up. There are 3 Sophies and 3 Skys left. 2 of each will make it to the live final the week after. Talking about the power rankings then, I have an idea of where everyone currently sits. What do you think? Who do you think is definitely, for sure, making it to the final?
Stevie and Tobias.
I agree. I think Stevie, let's remember, weeks back, close to leaving.
Yeah.
Close to leaving in that first
Yeah.
Sophie week, has had such a journey, I think.
Such a great arc.
And I've been so rooting for her these past
Yeah.
few weeks, especially, and this acting challenge. It just blew me away. I can really see a Sophie there. And it's not the most stereotypical Sophie
No.
we've ever seen either. I think she brings a lot of interesting qualities
Yeah.
to it. So I think she's in a good position to make that live final, and I agree with Tobias. He
Yeah.
has been really strong among the boys for weeks. I think we've been saying for a while he has been topping that power ranking for a few weeks running.
He's been very calm as well throughout.
He's been very calm. So I can definitely see him in the final. In terms of who the other spot goes to, let's talk about the Skies. We've got Craig and Owen. I think they're quite neck and neck in different ways, because Craig has been a little bit stronger, I think, in terms of the actual disciplines. And I don't remember his acting. It was such a long time ago. I need to see the boys in an acting challenge again.
I don't think we're going to get to.
Well, I don't know.
Unless they do something together
I'd
again.
hope there's some sort of acting element in the next week before the solo performances. But Owen has a very different type of a character. I just don't know. I just don't know how it's going to fall with these two.
I feel like Owen probably... For me, Owen kind of fits Mamma Mia more than Craig does. I feel like... I think with Craig, it's weird, but I could see him as the Sky in Leo Your Love on Me and the scenes where it's Sophie and Sky.
Yeah.
I just can't see him in the scenes with any of the other boys.
You know what I thought you were going to say? I thought you were going to say I can see him as the Sky in the stage adaptation of Mamma Mia 2. Here we go again. Because he feels that... No, because they're both a little bit older in that, and so he feels like that kind of a Sky. Does he feel like the young about to go backpacking around the world?
I think it's just I don't know if I can see him with the group of guys. I can see him...
Sure.
I can see him as maybe the older Sky, older Sky than what we used to, doing the, I've quit the banking and doing this.
Yeah.
That I can see.
Yeah.
I just can't, knowing Sky in the rest of the show, that he's such a, he is a lad's lad.
I just think he's so talented, and it would be a shame for him to go home having really done nothing but give great performances.
Yeah.
I think.
But I think we're getting to this end point where it's not who's giving the best performances should be in the final. It's who realistically can be in. The amount of shows that get cast and people that get cut in the industry. We're showcasing the industry.
I just think the vocal is slightly more reliable with Craig than with Owen. But if I don't think either of them are as suited to the role as Tobias, is it all a little bit moot? Anyway, is that second spot in the final a bit moot among the boys? Controversial? I don't know. Then let's talk about the Sophies. So we said Stevie feels like a lock for the final. We also have Stephanie and Esme. Now, I think based on power ranking this week, it would seem as though Esme might be in that lower slot because of the week that she had. I think she herself, again, said on socials, she thought that this was going to have been her last performance. There's been previous weeks where she's been bottom 2 even and close to going. Stephanie hasn't fallen into that position yet. But if you really think about what was said, that Mazz comment carried a lot of weight, that Stephanie was not pop, that she was musical theatre. I
also think Esme, they always want to talk about her. Every week, regardless, she's somebody that they've all she's the one that it feels like Mazz specifically is keyed in on in this episode. But then I've noticed every week they have an expectation of Esme.
She seems to have been featured and spoken about just a little bit more than Stephanie.
And she had this whole thing that they showed about her feeling unwell and everything in that element.
But I think they've been sleeping on Stephanie because she's been so reliable. So it's been like, oh, here's Stephanie again. She's done another great job.
Yeah.
And that's been her storyline. You know, she had a couple moments of vocal stamina because she was doing so much dance alongside, but they also recognized that, and so she hasn't had any major issues. She's just been doing a good job. What we have said repeatedly is that we could so easily see her doing the role of Constantina in Mamma Mia the Party if she doesn't end up getting Mamma Mia the show as Sophie.
I feel like she's such a consummate performer, and that's been shown for her, and it feels like she's reliable, and she'll be fab, and she's got this fab voice, etc.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those where it's like a great performer, but the naturalism.
Do you think she's not a leading lady yet?
Yeah, potentially. I think it's also just the natural element that she's got this I think she'd be incredible in kind of a more Broadway-esque musical where it's a bit more full and a bit more louder, or like a chorus line or something like that. Whereas it feels like Mamma Mia is quintessentially very like kind of British and that more natural, like TV element of acting where they're not louder than life when they're doing the dialogue.
It's a bit of a soap on a Greek island without the music.
Exactly, and I think that's where that was shown in the acting challenge, where it was like Stevie and Esme got the message of this is how dialogue has to work in this musical. Yeah. So I think that's what I've taken from this week.
So on 3 of the 2 of them, Stephanie or Esme, who do you think is going to make it to that final? Because I don't know if I even know.
Okay.
I don't know if I could say. On 3, and we'll both have to say a name. 1, 2, 3. I still don't know. I honestly still don't know. Because I could see it going either way. Does that mean that it's really great looking for Stevie? I don't know. I think this next week is going to be so interesting.
I love how I said one.
I know. I'm still saying Stephanie, but you started to win me round and feeling like because the judges have been sleeping on her. I don't know. From the beginning, I was backing Stephanie and Tobias, and I've really grown to love Stevie, and I think they're all talented. I want to see them all going on to the right show for them and the right role for them. For some of them, that's a breakout role in another show. Craig, I think, deserves a big role
100%.
in a show. For some of them, it might be doing a featured role for them to build themselves up a little bit more in the industry. They don't all have to do leads in their first show.
I mean, you look at the people from the other shows, the past versions of these shows in their careers.
Yeah.
Some have gone into shows, they're like working straight away, but then it's later on when they found the casting type that
many
works
of
for
them went from the show then into acting courses and drama schools, and then emerged from that being even stronger. Jessie Buckley is a great example of that. She went back into training, I believe funded by Sir Cameron Mackintosh. I think he paid for her to go and train, and then she came back out and now conquering the world as an actress on various fronts. Yeah. But I've digressed. The point is, next week is going to be very interesting, and it is going to be the semi-final. It's going to be the last week on location in Corfu before the live final
over here
at the Novello Theatre in the West End. Make sure you tune in on Sunday. We will, of course, be watching. There will be a recap coming, so you have all of that to look forward to. I'm sure all of you lovely people are already subscribed here on YouTube, but if not, make sure you are. This is a great time for you to go and subscribe to Aaron James as well. He shares lovely videos from all of our theatre trips. Go find us on other social platforms so you can enjoy all of our content over there as well. And thank you for watching. Thank you for spending this time with us. Thank you for joining me, Aaron James.
You're welcome.
And I hope that everyone has enjoyed. As always, comment down below with all of your thoughts about this week's episode of Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream. And let us know who you are rooting for at this point. There are 6 of them left. Who do you think is making that final? And who do you want to crown Sophie and Sky? Because when we get to the final, the public, aka you and us and all of us, will have the voting power.
Yeah.
So let me know your thoughts. And I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day. For 10 more seconds, I'm MickeyJoTheatre. Oh my god, hey. Thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!